So look, the last 10 years of my life have been quite the roller coaster. I've gone from depressed, suicidal and completely hopeless in life to then rebuilding myself back up and starting what has now become a 7-figure business, and I have a second business which is a multi-6-figure business. Now I've got plenty of videos here on YouTube explaining exactly what I've done and how I've made up to $1 million online, and I show you exactly how you can get the same results because I don't come from money or a wealthy background. But what I haven't talked about is the journey I had to go through before I started making money, because it really wasn't as easy as it could have been, and that's because of where I came from. Now, everybody has a backstory. Some backstories are better than others, some are more entertaining and captivating, but here's mine. So look, this video, you're probably not going to get some key takeaways or strategies that will help you make money right now today, but what you will learn is if you are going through anything difficult in your life, if you've ever been depressed, if you've ever just lacked motivation and knew that you had this thing in your life that you wanted to do but you could never do it, my goal is that by sharing my story in this video, you will be able to take something from this to help you go and achieve your goals by building yourself up, because that's what has to happen first. So I'm going to take you all the way back to when I was 16 years old. So growing up, I was always pretty shy. I was definitely a natural introvert, but I never had any difficulty making friends. So I had plenty of friends all throughout my childhood and into my teenage years. So my shyness and introvertedness, it was never really an issue. Now, if you were to look back before 16, let's go back even further to when I was in school. When I was in school, an example of how shy I was that I wouldn't raise my hand in class. It didn't seem like a big deal, and I'm sure some of you can relate to this, but to the person that was very outspoken and the person that would put their hand up in class and answer all the questions, this might sound completely crazy and foreign to you, but I was genuinely petrified of doing that. Alright, so that's the person I was before I had any issues. When I turned 16, I developed cystic acne. So look, the acne that I developed wasn't your typical acne where you have pimples or spots in your face. This was a different kind of acne. I would have big boulders on my face that were very, very obvious. I couldn't hide them. And I remember vividly, the first cystic acne spot that I had was right here. Okay, so this side of my cheek, my right cheek, and it looked like I got punched. It literally just looked like a bruise, okay? There wasn't any big spot, but there was just like this weird discoloration, this kind of like greeny, dark gray color on my face. And that was there for probably a couple of weeks, and I remember somebody literally asking me in school, like, did you get in a fight? Like, did somebody literally punch you? And I said no, and I genuinely explained to them, look, I have no idea what this is. Like, I have no idea. Nothing has happened to me. Nothing has changed. I haven't fallen. I haven't been hit. There's just this thing on my face. And so that just developed, and eventually that turned into a full-blown cyst. So eventually I had multiple of these spots, right? I had one here, I had one here, and I had one here. And there was a couple of little parts on the side of my face here. And the reason I can tell you that so clearly is because I think there's still a part of me that knows that the spots are there deep down under the surface, because it actually changed my skin. So like right here, if I smile, this actually looks like I've got a dimple. So this looks like a dimple, and it's not a dimple. It's literally that the spot was here, the spot was massive, and there's literally no fat or muscle. Like, this is pure skin. It's the weirdest thing. I can literally pull that and it's just like this tiny thin layer of skin. So I do actually feel like I have these constant reminders of what those acne spots were and all of that. Yes, I'm over it on a mental level, but I do know physically I can still, I can still see the points there on my face. So you have a skin condition, what are you going to do? I went to doctors, I went to dermatologists, and nobody knew any answers, okay? Of course the doctors knew, okay, this is cystic acne, these are on your face. We've no idea what caused it. We don't know what you should really do to get rid of them. I tried multiple creams. Most of them were steroid-based creams, so pretty harsh stuff, and most didn't work. The only thing that worked was a drug called Roaccutane, or in the US, I believe it's called Accutane. So in a nutshell, this drug works. It worked for me. And yes, it did clear up my acne in, I'm gonna say it took, let me see, the first 3 months on the medication, nothing happened. Then they increased the dose, and I'm pretty sure the dose just increased a couple more times until it started working. And by working, it just meant that my spots were less inflamed, they weren't as sore, because trust me, those things were incredibly painful. And they started to go down. Now, they didn't disappear, but they would just get smaller and smaller. All in all, it took about 2 years for the spots to go completely. And when I say completely, I mean to the level they're at now, where again, there's still like parts on my face where there's like little bits of skin that feel super weird, but the spots themselves are gone. Now, that was a roller coaster, okay? Because again, 16 to about 18, this all happened. I was already shy, I was already naturally introverted. And this just made it worse, right? This just made it more difficult for me to be who I was, because now when I went to school, I didn't want people to look at me because I was just so beaten up by these spots. And I had such issues with my self-image, with my identity, and my confidence was just terrible. Like, I had absolutely no confidence in myself during this time. Looking back on it, like it's really depressing, because this issue that I had with the spots later developed into a second issue. So when I took this miracle drug that did work, I'm very grateful for it because it worked, it caused a second issue, which was this weird overgrowth of skin on my lips. I have no idea what you even call this. And unfortunately, I don't have photos of this because the acne was bad, but I could face taking a photo of myself because I knew I'd be able to look back one day and the spots would be gone. However, this issue with my lips broke me. Like, I could not pick up my phone and take a selfie or even take a photo close up of the lips. Even though I knew, look, one day this is probably going to be gone, I literally couldn't do it. Like that's how bad it looked. I literally couldn't do it. So during this time, I genuinely did something that one I never would have expected that I ever would have done, which was I would actually eat my lunch in the school bathroom, which is super cliche because you know, you hear about it if someone gets bullied or if they've had a really tough time in school, but I didn't have that. Like, I was in a very lucky scenario where nobody bullied me. There was a couple of people in my school that, you know, left mean comments and past remarks at my lips or at my spots, but nobody bullied me, right? My problem was all in my head. You see, nobody was actually saying to me, Adam, you look horrible, or oh my god, what's on your face? Again, a couple people, like 2 or 3 people max, that was it. But overall, it was a pretty okay experience. But the problem was me. I was telling myself like every day, you know, people aren't gonna look at you, or they're gonna look at you and think you're disgusting. Like, my self-talk at that time was so bad, like so negative, to the point where, again, because I did not want to be in front of people and around people, I would actively try and avoid people at all costs. So this is by far the darkest time in my life, 100%. And during this time, I really do believe that business saved my life. Because I was suicidal, I genuinely didn't want to be on this earth. And it wasn't just because of the acne or the skin issue, it was because I couldn't see a future in which I would be happy. Genuinely, I could not see a future where I would be happy, where I would be loved, where I would have abundance. None of that was a possibility at that time in my mind. I genuinely, the only thing that kept me going was that I was always interested in business. From age 12, I was always trying side hustles. E-commerce stores, drop shipping, affiliate marketing. Like, I was always doing something. And I always knew, and I had these grand ambitions of one day I'm gonna make $1 million. One day I'll become a millionaire. And I genuinely believe that that thought of me being like, one day I'll become a millionaire, did save my life. Because if I didn't have that thought, that push, that drive, that vision, I would have done something that really would have tore my family apart. And I'm very, very glad I didn't do anything and I did not act on the suicidal thoughts that I had. God, this is a weird video to make. I've spoke about this with many people, friends, even business partners, but it's weird sharing this. So again, I hope this gives something to you by watching it. Okay, so 16 to 18, that's what happened. Skin issues, no confidence, self-identity crisis, suicidal, depressed. So how did I go from that then to traveling the world, starting businesses, making a bunch of money, and doing things that really pushed me forward as a human? Because I started my marketing agency, which is my 7-figure business, back in 2019, and this was just as I graduated college. So there's a gap, okay? So there's a gap between school and starting the agency, and that was college for me, and that's where I developed a lot as a person. I'm going to list off some of the things that I did in that period that really helped me. So first off was I had a realization. There was a point in time somewhere during the year of me being 18 where I realized that I was the problem. Nobody was telling me all these things. I was my own victim. I was the victim of my own thoughts and negative actions. So at a very, very strong moment where I realized, look, the only person who's going to change this is me, so I need to do something different. And looking back, I lived a very depressing life. And what I did was I actually changed the inputs, okay? So I changed the things I was doing every day to leave me with a result that was less depressive. Because if you're doing things that are just depressing and you look back in your day and you think, God, that was really depressing, you're going to be depressed. That to me logically makes sense. Whether you think depression exists or not, if you do depressing things every single day, you're probably going to feel that way. So I stopped watching porn. I did NoFap, which is, you stop watching porn, you don't masturbate. I stopped binging Netflix, so I'd still watch like Netflix and shows and movies here and there, but I just didn't do it as much. Stopped playing video games. I was still working on my businesses because I was doing that anyway, but I started reading books. I was looking into self-improvement. I started meditating, I started doing cold showers, I learned about visualization. So I went down the typical self-improvement route. Some of you watching this are probably deep in that route already. Some of you watching this may have never done any of those things. So that little journey, that self-improvement journey really did change my life because it showed me what I could be. It showed me the power of my thoughts, my mind, and how it was ultimately keeping me trapped. It was making me weak, and it made me want to do things that nobody should ever want to do. I had to build a new identity for myself. And you might need to do this as well, right? If you're watching this video and you're maybe resonating with some of what I've said in this video, maybe you are depressed, maybe you have been depressed, maybe you've not feel fulfilled, maybe you're directionless, you don't know where you're going in life. If you can relate to absolutely anything that I have said right there, you need to do something different. Because the feelings and the thoughts you're having are actually a blessing, right? You might think that right now. You're probably thinking, what are you on about? These are the worst things in the world. No, they're a blessing, right? Because these are your wake-up call. These are your signs that something you're doing is not right. Something is not in alignment with what you should be doing to be happy, fulfilled, and successful. So you have to take those. Don't brush them aside. Take them, right? Realize that, okay, that's what they are. What can I now do differently? Start small. Don't try and do everything in one day. What I did was habit stack. I picked one thing, focused on it, and when it became a habit, I would introduce a second habit. For example, let's say I want to start doing cold showers. I'm not going to do a cold shower every day, but maybe I'll do one every second day or every third day. Or maybe I'll start with a warm shower and I'll finish with a cold shower. That's going to build the habit in my mind. I'm going to get very used to it. I'm going to start to identify as the guy who will wake up and take a cold shower. Once I've got that, I can pretty much tick that box. That is affirmative, it's part of my identity, it's in my habit stack, move on to the next one. But if I was to stop watching porn at that time, because I was heavily addicted to it at that time, as many, many young guys are, I'm sure if you're a guy watching this, you can relate 100%. So if I was to quit that, if I was to do cold showers, if I was to work out, if I was to read a book, meditate, do visualization and 100 other things all at once, obviously it wouldn't have worked. So take this step by step. Your journey is obviously unique to you, and what worked for me is definitely not guaranteed to work for you. But I do think it'll help you, because all the things that I did were good stuff. I don't do all of them every day anymore. I don't meditate every day. I don't take cold showers every day, but they help, and I do use them from time to time. And the reason I'm so passionate about this topic is because a lot of my content is so focused on the strategies and the tactics and the technical know-how of what to do. But when I really break it down and I really look at my success, which to some of you is very successful, and to others you're probably thinking, Adam, you're not even successful, because success is completely personal. But the things that actually got me to this point, yes, there were strategies, yes, there was tactics, but really it was mindset. Right? It was mindset, my self-identity, the things I was telling myself each day, the ruminating thoughts in my head. Like, those are the things that really shape what you do. And this relates to business, because if you want to start a marketing business and you're telling yourself, I want to make $10,000 a month, right? So you have that big goal, but at the same time, you're kind of wasting time each day. You're playing video games, you're binging YouTube videos, you're eating shit food, you're not really taking care of yourself. And your thoughts are dominantly negative. Like, you're telling yourself, I'm lazy, I'm never gonna make 10K a month, I wish it was easy. Like, that's gonna be incredibly hard for you. And if you have those thoughts and that's something you can relate to right now, I can probably guarantee that you won't make 10,000 per month. It doesn't just happen. Like, you have to do things to get there. And to do those things, you have to believe you can actually do them. So you have to believe that, oh my God, I can make 10,000 a month. Because if you have that, which is a clear identity, plus a clear goal, which is I want to make 10K a month, you'll be able to now start acting as that person, acting as the person that's already making 10,000 per month. But if there's such a clear distance between the two, so your goal is here and your identity is here, it's just incredibly difficult to try and pull your identity up to you making 10K per month. But if your goal is here, I want to make 10K per month, and your identity is down here, and you start to work on your identity, you start to build it up, right? You're doing all these habits, you're stacking them up to a point where you actually now are so convinced that you can be successful and that you can make 10K per month because you've leveled up on such a personal level. You now getting to this goal is easy because you just walk across. You just walk across, you just literally take the action. You do the things that have to be done to get to that mark. But if you don't, right, and go back to this analogy where you're starting down here and your goal's up here, you'll take action and you just you go up and down. And you go up a little bit more and then down. And it's just this constant uphill battle that you're really never going to master. So if you take anything away from this video, I want you to take away two key things. I want you to understand that yes, it is fine to feel bad. It is fine to have off days. It's fine to feel like you're not the shit every single day because nobody does. But it's not fine to allow yourself to continue suffering because I did that for 2 years. I allowed myself for 2 whole years to suffer, to wallow in my own self-pity, to feel like the world was out to get me, to feel like I would never be happy. And it's weird because there's a part of me that enjoyed it. There's a part of me that enjoyed feeling bad. And I think that part is in every part of us. In every one of us, that part exists. But that is not fine because that is literally detrimental to you, your future, your family, the people around you. So I want you to realize, like I told you in this video, negative thoughts, feelings, and emotions are your warning sign. Those are your signs that yes, this is happening. Yes, you're in this scenario, and yes, you can change it, but take the signs and take action. Do something differently, start working on yourself, put yourself first, do something today that your future self is going to thank you for, and trust me, my friend, you will get out of whatever shitty scenario you are in right now. If I can do it, you can do it too. And with that, I hope you got some value from this video, and I will see you hopefully next time.